Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Show Me the Money, Starting a Profitable Business with Dr. Carey Yazeed. My name is Colin Mahan, and I'm a program manager at the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the Nasdaq Center is a nonprofit dedicated to enabling entrepreneurs from all over the world to realize their maximum potentials and grow. As you may have just seen in the chat, the Nasdaq Center, along with our partner Mentor Cloud, launched a free mentor matching platform for entrepreneurs called Mentor Makers. Create your own advisory board to guide and inspire you with in-the-moment mentorship from topic experts and professionals dedicated to providing exceptional mentorship to entrepreneurs across all races, industries, and geographies. So find or become a mentor today by using the link in the chat. Mentorship matters to entrepreneurs. Their success is dependent on it. Quick housekeeping, we're going to open up for live Q&A at the end of the event, so please submit your questions in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation. We'll try to get to them all. Now, none of what we do here at the center could be possible without all the amazing support from our sponsors, including Nasdaq, Lehigh University, Bank of the West, KPMG, Wilson Sonsini, Woodruff Sawyer, and BPM. We are humbled by their contributions. Now, during these still, I would like to say unique, but I'd like to say uncertain times, we are curious on how sentiment is among the entrepreneurs we work with. So we're going to start by taking a poll to let us know how you're doing today. How are you feeling? Are you optimistic? Are you just surviving, anxious, or fearful? Let us know how you're doing. We've been measuring this since the beginning of the pandemic, so hopefully with uncertainty still very, very present in the market, that we're doing a little bit better on the optimism front, but still understand that there's still some anxiety and surviving out there. So appreciate you all giving us some of your responses. I'm going to get this going for another couple moments, but I'm going to end this poll, share those results. Looks like optimism's at the top of the key, but totally understand some of you are just surviving and some of you have a little anxiety. Hopefully the presentation today will help alleviate some of those feelings. So without any further delay, please join me in giving a warm welcome in the chat to our special guest today. Dr. Carey Yazeed is the author and founder of Power Moves. Carey, welcome. Happy to have you. Over to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. And welcome to everyone who is joining us today. This is truly an honor. And so I respect time. And so I'm not going to hold any of you any longer. Let me go ahead and show my screen and we can get started. Okay, can everyone see my screen? I'm going to take that as
Looks good.
Looks good. All right, let's go. So today's presentation is Show Me the Money, Starting a Profitable Business. If you are here, it is because you're trying to start not just any type of business, a business that is going to generate some income. Because let me tell you, there is a difference. You know, there are some people out there who have a business, but it's not generating any money. And I like to call those a hobby. When your business is actually generating money, you have a full-fledged business that hopefully will be able to support you and your family as we go through these challenging times. So a little bit about me. I started my first business when I was 12 years old. Now I know you're sitting there saying, oh my goodness, Dr. Carey, 12 years old. Yes, honey, entrepreneurship can start at any age. I like to consider myself a serial entrepreneur. So I'm going to take you on a little journey so you can really get an idea of what my expertise is and how I got started. So like I said, I started my first business when I was 12 years old, approximately 1981. Not one to really tell my age, but yes. And with that business, I started selling candy. Why did I start selling candy at the age of 12 in middle school? Well, we didn't have vending machines. Everybody didn't like the lunch, but people were still hungry at lunchtime. I saw that there was a need and I decided to fill that need by selling candy. The candy that I bought was from a wholesale store that we had in our area, and I doubled the price. So I walked away with a 50% profit. Not bad for 12 years old, and no one told me how it is. But I didn't realize that I had something special up my sleeves or that I had a special knack. From then on, in 1984, while I was in high school, my next business was actually writing English papers. Yes, some people actually didn't like to do their homework. I like to read, I like to write. So, with the help of actually my English teacher, 10th grade English teacher to be exact, I started my second business, which was writing English papers. Now, my pricing was based on what kind of grade did you want. If you wanted an A and I had to put in some extra work, my English teacher told me you need to charge them for that. Now, if they just want a mediocre C, hey, have a price for that too. Again, I saw a need and I filled a void. And you're going to start seeing a pattern here. The void was that some students still needed to pass because we were in a magnet school, but they didn't necessarily like to do all of the work. And that's where I came in. In 1986, as I was transitioning out of high school, I transitioned into my third business, which was a party thrower. So in our area, I live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We at that time didn't have a big scene of things to do for teenagers. And so my dad actually worked at a hotel. He got a discount on the ballrooms. So guess who had a friend who was a DJ? Guess who had a friend who knew how to design flyers? And guess who could get a discount on ballrooms? That would be me. And that became one of my most profitable businesses at this point. And that's when I really started to see what entrepreneurship was about. Again, the thing that you're seeing is that I always work to fill a need. When I went to graduate school, I didn't really have a whole lot of time to work. But one thing I did know how to do was start a business. So I kept it low key and I worked as a babysitter. I made enough money to pay for gas for me to go back and forth to my home, cover my housing, and have food in the refrigerator. After that, I became a full-fledged entrepreneur in 1996 when I opened my private practice as a mental health therapist. I had this private practice for 20 years. It was very successful. Not only did I see clients one-on-one, but I also had the opportunity to win contracts with the state of Louisiana. In 2002, once I had kids and I figured out I couldn't get them to the photography studio without having poop and spit up on them, guess who started a business? That's right, I did. A photography business for parents just like me. And we specialized in Black and white photography. That business lasted for 7 years. 2004, I opened an African-American bookstore because we didn't have one in the area. 2010, I started a publishing company because I wrote a book and a publisher told me no. I don't take no kindly. So I said, hey, I'll start my own. Actually, the publishing company is still in existence today. So we've been going strong for 11 years. 2017, a bath and body products because my asthma started to act up with products that were on the market. 2018, I moved into coaching. And 2021, I now consider myself a midlife influencer and people development, building on all of the skills that I have. And why, you might say, why do midlife influencer? Well, when I hit 50, I realized I didn't fit in with the TikTokers. I didn't fit in with all of the influencers on Instagram, and no one was speaking to my generation, Generation X. So I started to speak to them. Now, if anything, you all have seen a pattern. That pattern is that riches are in the niches. When you are starting a business, there's one thing that I always want you to remember. You cannot be all things to all people. Instead, I need you to be one great thing to a certain group of people. As you can see, with every business that I started, I only focus on a select group of people, and I only focus on a certain problem. So in high school, I wasn't focused on people who had math problems. That wasn't my thing. I wasn't focused on us trying to go roller skating. I didn't have access to a roller skating rink. When I became a mental health coach, I only focused on survivors of sexual assault. When you specialize and when you niche down and you focus, it allows you to be consistent in the content that you create and the message that you share with other people. But it also decreases burnout and it increases your revenue. Hence, you never want to start a business that doesn't have a niche. If you are looking to generate revenue, you want to focus on a specific niche. So you're probably wondering, well, Dr. Carey, how does someone find their niche? Like, I just want to start a business that's having parties. We're going to do a little exercise. So I want each of you right now, I want you to think about this. Why do people come to you for help? So take a moment and let's think about that. Might take you going through your cell phone, looking at some text messages, maybe the ones that you've received in the last 2 to 3 weeks. When people have reached out to you, what were some of the things that they were asking you to help them with? What were some problems that they needed you to help them solve? So that problem could have been, can you sing for a funeral? Can you help me to pick up groceries? My mom is shut in. You don't live that far by. Can you run by her house and help her pick up groceries? Can you come over and cut my grass? So it can be as simple as that. The thing is, I want you to focus on, why do people come to you? Because a lot of times we overlook our own skills and talents. And we don't look at them as being something that we could charge people for or that we could actually make a profit with. So once you have that, that's usually giving you an indicator of what people already know you for. So it's not going to be hard for you to put yourself out there because people already know you for this particular skill and for solving this particular problem. You just don't charge for it. And that's where we have to add a price tag to it. Another exercise that you can do is send a text message to 10 people and ask them to describe you using 5 adjectives. This gives you an idea, again, of how people view you and what they see to be your strengths. Taking this information, you're going to use this to see, where is there a gap in services? What is a problem that you can solve? What's that solution that you can provide for this particular business idea that you have? So how's everyone doing? Talk to me in the chat. Let me know. What are some things that people come to you for? And you might think, I can't charge anything for that, but you're probably wrong. Everything has a price tag. You just need to look at it in that way. So here are some steps to starting your business. Now, once you have identified, this is what people say I'm pretty good at when it comes to problem solving. This is why people reach out to me. The next thing that I want you to do is I want you to research the market. I want you to look at, who else offers this product or service that people need. But there is a lack. Look at who might be your quote unquote competition. What are their colors? How do they post on social media? What are some things that they're doing? The whole thing is that you're not trying to recreate the wheel. The wheel has already been created by your competition. Now, some people like to believe no one else has this idea. This is only my idea. And I hate to tell you, there's really nothing new under the sun. If you're doing it, someone else has probably done it. They might have a different version and tweaked it a different way, but it has been done. Research the market. This will save you a lot of time and money as you begin to move forward. The next thing that you need to do is start building a community around the problem that you solve. There are individuals out there who are looking to gravitate towards someone like you. And it can be lawn service, it can be fixing AC. I'm in South Louisiana. It's hot out here. So our AC men are making a lot of money this summer. Whatever your problem is, you need to start creating a community. You can create that community on social media. So on Instagram, on Facebook, even on LinkedIn. And you're doing this before you sell a product because you're going to need this community as you move forward. Also, start networking with like-minded individuals. Networking helps you in a couple of ways. It helps you as your community building because they can also refer people to you. But networking also helps you when you're looking for funding down the road. So it helps you to start to position yourself as the expert in this area. So this is when we have to start moving outside of our family and our friends. And we have to start having conversations with people who don't know us. This is how you, again, build community, network, and also establish yourself as the expert in this area. Once you built your community, and when you're building community, let me add this, you are providing them with information. So you're going live, you're putting posts on social media. You might even be having free webinars where you are sharing information with your community. Again, you're establishing yourself as the expert. The next thing you do is once you build a relationship with your community, survey your community. Because sometimes we think we have an idea of what product they need or what service they need when it comes to solving this problem. But sometimes we can be off. This is why you survey your community, because your community are going to be your clients and your buyers. So find out exactly what product or service they are looking for when it comes to you. You can't skip this step. And a survey can be something as simple as what Colin did in the beginning, having a survey at the beginning of a webinar. It can be on Instagram where you go into your stories and you post a question and have your audience to answer. You can put a question on LinkedIn or Facebook that gives you an idea of if you are moving in the right direction when it comes to developing the product or service that you are going to sell to your audience, your community. Next, based on the information that they give you, you're going to develop a product or service based on their needs. This is where a lot of new business owners fail. They don't survey their community. They feel that the idea that they had from the very beginning, they're going to go with that. That's going to be their product. And because they're not providing their community or their potential buyers with the product or service that they need, they don't generate any revenue. And that launch that they plan becomes a flop because no one's really interested because they didn't listen to the community that they have built. So moving forward, once you built this community and now you have your product or service that you are going to launch to them, you need to think about your pricing. Your pricing should be based on a couple of things. It should be based on the research that you did at the very beginning when it comes to your competition. It also can be based on a survey question that you give to your community. But lastly, what I see a lot of new entrepreneurs forget when it comes to pricing their product or service is that they don't take into consideration the cost of living for them if this business was the only revenue that they had coming in. So they cover their business expenses, but they don't cover their living expenses. So when they find themselves in a situation where they might be unemployed or they lose their job suddenly, they're unemployed, the business that they've created cannot sustain their lifestyle because they didn't build their products and services with pricing that covers that as well. So when you're doing your pricing, again, please take into consideration the cost of living for you. Even if you have a full-time job, pretend that you don't. And what would be the revenue that you need to generate weekly and monthly to sustain not only your business, but also your household? That is one of the main keys to having a successful business. Next, I need you to do a pre-sale. So when you're doing a pre-sale, there's a reason for this, and it's usually not what you think. Your pre-sale is going to give you an idea again, is this a great idea, or are people willing to buy it? Pre-sale also allows you, if you have a physical product, to take that money and pay for the actual product. So with my publishing company, we actually sell books. So I publish anthologies. The authors that work with me in my anthology, they have to do a pre-sale the month before we actually launch the book. This gives them an idea of who in their audience is receptive to the book. But if we have any costs that we need to pay for at the end, the pre-sale helps us with that as well. So when you do a pre-sale, it can help to absorb some of the costs that you might incur in having to develop your product or your service. Next, you're going to do a launch, 100% full-blown launch with all the bells and whistles. This is going to be an advantage to you because you've done your pre-sales. So now you already have testimonies. You have videos from people who bought your product or tried out your services. So when you do your actual launch, guess what? You don't have to spend a whole lot of money on marketing because you have built-in testimonies. And you know what? When you have a great product or service, people don't mind making a short video for you to put on social media. They don't mind sharing your product to their family and friends on social media so that they can brag and say, yeah, well, you have to wait till the launch because I got this. I'm special. I'm a VIP and I got this early, but it's a great product. They do the marketing for you. This helps to save a lot of money, but it brings even more people into your community. And that's very important. As I said, gather those testimonies. We want to get people's testimonies. Don't be afraid. People love to brag about how special they are and how you treated them special. And they love to brag about stuff that they have. So you need to find the braggers in your community and let them toot your horn for you. You're going to also take those testimonies and put them on your website, and you're going to post them on your social media. So I've shared a lot of information. Does anyone have any questions before I move on? So Charles wanted to know, how many active businesses do I actually have? So Charles, right now I have 2 active businesses. So I have my publishing company, and then I also do speaking. I don't generate any income from being an influencer. That's something that I like to do for fun, but trust me, it being fun is going to become an active business probably by the end of this year. Someone said, what if people come to you for something you don't want to be a part of your brand? It kind of sounds like if they're coming to you, Helen, already, that it probably is a part of your brand. You just haven't thought of it in that way. So you might really need to look at what are you putting out there and why people are coming to you, and making sure that that's not something that you're advertising in any shape, form, or fashion. And if you don't want it to be a part of your brand, it's okay to tell people no. How does someone copyright or trademark an image or design? You have to go through the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. I would recommend actually getting with a lawyer that handles trademark and intellectual property, because they help you to save a lot of money. Some people have tried to do it on their own, but I will say this: once you mess up, you have to pay all of those filing fees all over again. So that's something to keep in mind. And usually if you're working with a lawyer who's done it before, you're only paying those fees one time. Let's see. For SaaS startups, the product is always developing at the initial stage. How do you overcome initial product gaps and give customers confidence at the same time? This is a good question. So thank you for asking this one. I would say in the beginning, you're going to have some hiccups. And so you just have to, if customers are going with you through the journey, let's put it that way. So I like to say, have customers to be a part of the process before they actually become a customer. So before they actually make an investment, showing them some of the behind the scenes without showing them everything, that helps to build their confidence. And when you have a hiccup or a gap that's coming with your development, share that with them and let them know that you're trying to work through this, and show them when you do work through it. If nothing else, that helps to build their confidence along the way. And I want to say this, you never know who's watching, and you never know who your angel investor might be. If there's a product that will provide a need and more than one target market, how do you determine the best route to go? I'm in new building housing, tiny house. Okay, so there is a market for tiny houses. There are people who like tiny houses. So my first thing would be focus on the most prevalent group. And for that particular group, it would be tiny houses. Not necessarily new development. I would more so focus on the tiny house community and individuals who are specifically looking for a tiny house, because I really didn't know that tiny houses had new development. So if I'm looking for a tiny house, then that's an added bonus for me. But if you say new development, new people who are looking for new development may not necessarily be looking for a tiny house. And I hope that I make sense. I have a 14-year-old aspiring entrepreneur. What would you recommend for me to get an early start? So I would say this, even at 14, what are you good at? What do your friends come to you to help them solve a problem? That's where you need to start. Look at what is the gap in your age group with your friends. So start with your community, which are your friends, people you go to school with. What do you guys need that no one is providing? And figure out how you can provide that. So someone said the community is around the problem and not the product. Yes, your community is going to be around your problem, not your product, because as your business scales and grow, you're going to build more products. You're going to offer different services. So you are always looking to solve a specific problem, not necessarily offering them a specific product, because that is going to change over time. Besides Facebook and LinkedIn, what other channels have you found useful? For what I do, I found LinkedIn to be useful. When I first started and social media had just started, I actually found MySpace to be useful with my publishing company and with my bookstore. Facebook helped to a certain extent, but I also had to keep in mind with my Facebook back in the day, it was family and friends, and they're only going to support you so far. So for me, it has actually been getting out there and networking with total strangers. So for my business coaching, and actually for our anthology and publishing, LinkedIn has been the most successful for my business. What is your strategy for awareness with regards to organic versus paid traffic? I would say this, I rarely do paid traffic because I never really saw any results with paid traffic. That's just me. When it comes to organic traffic, it's being consistent, knowing your community and giving your community what they want on social media. And so again, that means you have to be in tune. So in the very beginning, I don't recommend using a social media marketing agency. You need to know what's going on with your community before you bring in strangers to start running your social media for you. Look at your analytics on Instagram, if you have a business account, you can see your analytics when people are on Instagram. And that usually means that that's when they're on social media, period. That's when you need to post. That's when you need to go live. I've also discovered that going live in videos, it's the bomb. Like if you're trying to grow your following, you are trying to get that organic traffic, you need to go live and you need to be making videos. And honestly, people don't care how you look. They are there for the information. So if you were sharing great information, they are going to be there. And that's the best way to build community and not spend any money. So before you invest all of your money into a business, again, you need to test it out first. And that's where that pre-launch is going to come. Can you make a return on your investment? Yes, you can. You definitely can. But you need to, again, make sure that you are, that you've got everything going straight. Trying to get it changed. So let's talk about financing, because I get this question a lot from people. You need to put some skin in the game, and I'm going to explain that. When it comes to funding to start a new business and you're looking for investors, you're going to be your first investor. No one is going to invest in a business that you have not invested in yourself. So your initial funding to get started, it can start with $0. That can be if you have a skill and you get on social media and you talk about the skill that you have and the service that you can provide to people, and then you build the product along the way. I started with coaching after I left higher education. So that was the business in 2016. With that, all I needed was the internet. I had the internet, I had my skills and my talents, and I had a scheduling system that I had used from counseling. And the scheduling system was like $19.97 a month. So it wasn't a big startup in the beginning. As I've grown and as my business has scaled, I have been able to add different components to my business. A lot of people in tech, they are a little different when it comes to tech, but even in tech, the investors are going to ask, how much have you invested up front? They also want to know, and this is with any type of business, if an investor is coming in, they are usually looking for you to have made at least $1 million in sales. So again, you got to put some skin in the game before others are willing to invest in you. Even when it comes to grants, they want to see how many clients have you served? What have you done? How much revenue have you generated on your own before they make that investment into you? So again, your out-of-pocket expense, it could be as little as $0 to $100. Sometimes they're looking at up to like $1 million. It depends on what industry you are in. But again, you got to put skin in the game before an investor is going to be willing to pour their money into you, because that investor is looking for a return on their investment. That means they're looking for you to give them their money back plus a percentage. So they're going to get some extra back as well. When you're dealing with investors, it's not free money. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, especially when they're just starting out as a small business owner. So that's something that I really want all of you to keep in mind. Before anyone makes an investment in you, you've got to make an investment in yourself. So once we've made those basic investments and you tried out your business, so you've done a launch, you tried it out, before you make any more investments and you see like, okay, this is going to work. I have a viable business. I have a community. We're rocking and rolling. Next, you need to go ahead, register with the state, get your EIN from the federal government, and your EIN is like your business social security number. You need to reserve your URL so you can have a website if you haven't already done that. Get QuickBooks. It's an inexpensive way to keep up with your basic business accounting in the beginning. Get you a business bank account, because again, when you start talking about big money down the road, one of the things they're going to want to know is, Do you have a business bank account, and can we see your finances? Get your website, reserve your handle on social media if you haven't already done that. Start developing some onboarding systems. And onboarding is going to be different for each business, but that includes like your email, how people can schedule an appointment to work with you, stuff like Shopify, how people can actually buy your products and services. So onboarding helps you to not always be working 24/7. This is where your business is working for you versus you working for your business. So onboarding systems are very, very important. And this is where you can start to spend some money on paid advertising, working with the social media manager, having ads made on Fiverr and that kind of thing. This is when you can really start to pay for like your marketing and your investments. So once your business actually gets to a point where you're like, okay, hey, I'm rocking and rolling around here, then it becomes time to grow your team. Because again, being a successful business owner and being a profitable business owner means that you are not doing everything 100% on your own. You're going to start to need a team. Part of your team can be a virtual assistant. You don't have to hire any of these people full time, but they still can be a team member. So a virtual assistant, an accountant, social media manager, a photographer to make sure all those pictures you have on social media are on point, an attorney to make sure your legal affairs are straight. And if you're having some struggles on, okay, I'm here, but I want to go to the next level, this is also when you can consider investing in a coach to help you in your specific area or to help you grow your business in general. So I know I probably finished a little early. So do we have any additional questions? And I do see one question in the Q&A. Kimberly wanted to know, what determines the price of your product? Is it based on competition, consumer, market? Yes, and I kind of covered that a little earlier, Kimberly. And Colin said he's going to answer that question for you live as well. But there are a lot of different factors that go into your pricing, Kimberly. But one thing I want to strongly suggest, don't just look at what your competition is doing. There's some other factors that need to be considered as well. So Colin, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, I'm happy to run through some of these Q&As. So thank you so much, Dr. Carey, for sharing your insights and your slides today. It's been really valuable. And just to add on your pricing point, I really like the fact that you said to take into account your cost of living, whether or not it's your side hustle or your full-time gig. So love that. So everyone, we're jumping into Q&A. So if you have any additional questions, feel free to drop them into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Dr. Carey, we have some pre-submitted questions that I'd love to run by you, if you're okay with that. So team, we'll try to get to all the questions if you've got any, so drop those in the Q&A, but in the meantime, we're gonna do some of these pre-submitted ones. So do you have any advice for new ways businesses can generate revenue post-COVID? Oh, looks like you're muted.
I think we're still in COVID, and actually, so there's still some funding that is out there on a state level. So the first thing I would do is use Google and search your state to see what funding your state has available. For the state of Louisiana, a grant just ran across my email on Monday. So when I say funding is still available, and it's COVID specific for small businesses. So the government has pumped a lot of money into states, and they're using it in different ways, and they didn't roll it all out as one. So periodically, you need to do a Google search. If you're not tapped in with different agencies within your state that works with small businesses, make sure you do that as well. Because a lot of the information that I receive comes from agencies within the state of Louisiana that help small business owners. So that networking, that's where networking comes in.
Love that. Super helpful. So have you tried, got a question here of, have you tried paid
Yeah,
LinkedIn?
unmute you, Tyler. I'm not hearing you.
You're not hearing me? Huh. Can you hear me now? Could be having a Zoom moment. Can you hear me now, Dr. Carey? All right, thanks, Marthia.
So Martha says she can hear you.
Yeah, we have
Maybe
a.
it's on my end.
It's Zoom. It's a typical Zoom moment. All good, and we have tons of time to get to somebody's great questions. Also, to.
And they said they can hear me.
Yep, I can hear you. Yeah. Also to the people who are looking for the link to the specific grant that Dr. Carey got, I'm not sure if that one would help, but there is an organization called opengrants.org that, .io, I mean, that is a nonprofit that provides free resources and links to grants from all over the world and all over the US. It's free to use to search. They do have a premium function, but if you guys are looking for grants, there are many, which is why the organization exists. So hopefully that helps. And I just sent that to just the panelists. So thanks for calling that out. There you go, Sandra, and everyone else on the call. Dr. Carey, can you hear me now? Still struggling. All right. Let's see. Let me just send Dr. Carey a note. We had her a moment ago. Thanks for hanging tight with us, everybody. Yep. Yeah, I agree. Potentially, since Dr. Carey was running through the Q&A so smoothly, maybe she can just run through the Q&A on her own. Replay will be available, Keisha. Oh, alrighty. She'll answer questions in the chat. Because we can hear you.
Let's see. I did have a question in the chat. Someone wanted to know how to connect with me on LinkedIn. And so on LinkedIn is Dr. Carey Yazeed. So I'm easy to find on all social media outlets. It's Dr. Carey Yazeed. So, and that goes into branding. So I don't make it difficult for you to find me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, and I'm also on YouTube. I have a Clubhouse, but guys, I gotta admit, I can't use Clubhouse to save my life. So I stay in my lane. So yes, send me a connection. And if it's not allowing you to connect with me, look up my email address, which again is my name, drcareyyazeed@gmail.com. Put that in and you should be able to connect with me over on LinkedIn. Let's see. What about social selling as a marketing revenue? Let's see. If I think I'm getting you correctly, Kimberly, you're looking to actually, as part of your revenue or your business, is actually to do the selling and the marketing part. Am I correct? Marketing to generate, okay, you're saying marketing to generate revenue. Actually, in this day, we live in a digital age. So your marketing really needs to be focused on social media. If you don't have a big budget, don't worry about it, but you need to start putting yourself out there when it comes to marketing. So that means you need to engage with your audience on social media. I like to say that the fluffy quotes, they only last for so long. And then after a while, people get tired of the motivation and the inspiration and they want some information. When you go live and you post videos, people get to see your personality. They get to engage with you, and they make that connection. And we need to remember that people make an investment in individuals that they connect with. And so video and going live is the best way to help make that connection with total strangers that you don't know, that you might, otherwise see at a marketing event. So when we're talking about marketing, especially in the beginning, I say use what you have. Social media, it's free, but you really have to be consistent. So that means you need to have a schedule. If you're going to go live, let people know what day you go live, what time you go live. So they can program that in their phones, or you can remind people, hey, set that alert so you'll know when I go live on social media. So again, let's utilize the resources that we have that don't cost us anything to let people know about our businesses. Let's see, I have some questions in the, y'all are on it today. Let's see, in the question and answer box. Have you tried paid LinkedIn ads? Is it effective? Paid LinkedIn ads are very expensive, and they are set really for people who have a Fortune 500 budget. So I have never done paid LinkedIn marketing. All of my marketing on LinkedIn has been organic. So it has just basically me being consistent and just posting what my audience wants to hear. But I will say this on LinkedIn, going live, because a lot of people don't go live on LinkedIn. So figuring out when your audience is really on LinkedIn and using the live feature. If you don't have access to it, you can send a request to LinkedIn asking them to implement that feature for you. So I was one of the people that they tested it out on, and the tool that I use is StreamYard. So I don't know if they allow Zoom at this point, but in the very beginning, they partnered with StreamYard to do their live features on LinkedIn. But no, LinkedIn's advertising is still kind of out of the price range for the small business owner, unfortunately. Someone said, I've had so many business ideas over the years. How do you know which you should start with? And do I start with which would be the cheapest to start? I'm also wanting to buy a home in the near future. Do I start my business before buying a home, or vice versa? Well, starting your business is not going to impact negatively you buying a home. It may in fact help, because it's additional revenue that you have coming in that your lender could look at. When you're starting a business, I won't necessarily say the cheapest, but it needs to be something that you will enjoy, that you know that you can hang in there for the long term with. If you have a lot of business ideas, again, this is where you tap into those people in your cell phone and ask them, hey, can you tell me like 5 adjectives that describe me? Or when you think about me, what problem do you see me solving? Like, how am I a helper when it comes to issues that you've had? Talk to people around you and see what do they see you as, and start there. And the thing is, start with one business, and once you get that business off the ground and it's successful, you can actually start another business. You don't have to just have one successful business. Let's see, I think I have hit everybody's questions. So are there any other questions out there? What advice would you give your younger self? Oh, goodness. The advice that I would give my younger self would be to keep going, not to listen to what other people have to say, especially people who are not small business owners. When I was younger, a lot of people like made fun of me, especially in high school. Well, middle school, I would say middle school. I got teased for selling candy. But then when I would come to school with the expensive shoes that their parents wouldn't buy because my candy money allowed me to buy it, like the T's and stop. And so I would just tell my younger self, like, you're on the right track, keep going. They don't see your vision because they weren't given your vision. Only you have your vision. So that would be my advice to my younger self, is never give up and keep moving forward no matter what. Yes, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Colin put the link in the chat, but on LinkedIn is Dr. Carey Yazeed. And again, if it doesn't allow you to connect with me that way, use my email address, which is drcareyyazeed@gmail.com. Should we give discounts, and when should we give them? Okay, Charles, so here's my thing about those discounts, okay? Discounts can backfire on you because then people start to anticipate, well, you know what, I'm gonna wait till they have a sale. I'm gonna wait till they give 10% off or 20% off. So if they know that you're always gonna give a discount, they're never gonna buy it at full price. They're always waiting for a discount or a sale. The only time I really recommend discounts is if you have a product that you are ready to get rid of, like you're discontinuing it, then I would offer a discount. But I think if you're going to look at discounts, I maybe will look at the form of a VIP club where if they're buying in at a certain level, they get certain discounts, but I wouldn't make it just a part of what I do every day, because then they become conditioned to look for the discount and they never buy your products at full price. Someone said the majority of businesses fail within the first 5 years. Yes, they do. What are your observations on how to continuously develop a business past the 5 years? Again, surveying your community and listening to your community. I see a lot of businesses fail because they don't listen to their communities, and the business owners do what they think their community wants versus talking to their community. They also start to slack off. So they stop engaging with their community. So continue to engage with your community, continue to survey your community, talk to your community, and asking them and letting them be a part of the process. What are some best practices for marketing to your email list when you are introducing a new product or service? So Jenny, I will say this, I stopped email marketing this year, and now I do text message marketing because text messages have a higher open rate than emails do. Google has algorithms that a lot of stuff gets screened and people are not going to their promotional folders. Everybody's walking around with their cell phone and they will look at a text message when it pops up on their screen. So I've really moved towards text message marketing. Have you had more than one business at a time, and who was your mentor in your youth that sparked entrepreneurship? Yes, I actually, right now, I have more than one business going on. So I would honestly say for the most of my entrepreneurial journey, I've had more than one business taking place at the same time, but I did start with just one and got it to where I needed it to be before starting another one. In the beginning, honestly, I didn't have a mentor per se. It was people that I would see in magazines, Jet Magazine, Ebony Magazine, who was successful and they looked like me, and I would follow their journey until we got to the digital age and I could start to follow people and go to a conference that they were having and network with them on social media. So I was a little different. So that spark came from me. My parents were entrepreneurs, but again, I didn't see what they were doing as quote unquote like a business because they just enjoyed what they were doing. Someone said, as a Black woman, what biases have you encountered in the business world, and how can I prepare my mind for potential rejection? Well, I'll say this, rejection comes in all shape, forms, or fashions. A lot of my rejections have not been because I am a Black woman. And I think that goes back to knowing who my target audience is and who my community is. I'm also an expert in what it is that I do. So being confident in who you are and what it is that you're doing, and just kind of knowing your area of expertise. But honestly, I would have to say I had the rejections that I've received because of the color of my skin have not been because of my business. I will be very honest with that. So I've worked with people from different backgrounds. Again, I've received funding from different grants, and just knowing where to apply, who to network with has really helped me. Let's see, I'm concerned about the safest way to accept payment at a seminar or open session. Oh, Elizabeth, get PayPal on your phone. They have business PayPal where you can take credit cards and receive payments. I've been using it for years. I actually used it for my private practice to accept payments from clients that had co-pays. So PayPal on your phone, it's safe, it's secure, and you can accept credit cards, and it gives you the swiper, or you can actually enter in their information. You can also upload products on it as well. Let's see, we got two more, Colin. Someone's interested in starting a nonprofit organization to adolescents. Where would I start, as I see the services are needed to reduce increased violence in my community? Okay, Katrina, you got to start. And so that means partnering with other organizations as you're starting your business, and see, again, if there is a need. But usually with nonprofit organizations, it's just finding a space and start offering the service and networking with other individuals to let them know what it is that you are doing. I would love to hear answers regarding payments and open sessions, the best way to collect. So again, Judy, that one kind of goes back to the PayPal as far as accepting payments. And Colin, you kind of want to talk about that one a little bit as well?
Oh no, we're out of time. We wish we could get to all of those, but yes, I do agree with your PayPal statement. So Dr. Carey, thank you so much for joining today and sharing your insights and wisdom with our community. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. We've got some great events coming up in the next couple weeks, so check those out. We'll share those in the follow-up email, but on behalf of everyone on the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center's team, thank you, Dr. Carey, and for everyone who showed up today. We look forward to seeing you all online soon. Thanks again.